If you want to ask what the first video game is, it is hard to tell because of the definition of video game. It always depends on you how to define a video game is. However, if we define video game to be digital game played on visual display and created by a digital computer, then the first video game must be Space War. Space War was created by Steve Russell and two other MIT students in 1962. It was not so popular at that time because only few people knew about the video game. After a few years, the first arcade game, named Pong, was created by Nolan Bushnell in 1962. It was more like a table tennis game. This game was the first turning point for video game and made video game more popular because Pong was not too difficult for people who was the first time playing the game to play it. After arcade game designers start to push game enter the home. The Raspberry invented the first home video console, an Odyssey, and created the first the home version of Pong. A glut of Pong imitation and introduction of second generation consoles lead to the first great crash in the video game market. However, with the development of computer, the integration of video game with personal computer was another turning point in the development of video game. Although early computer was not very playful, for example, the first IBM computer only had four color graphics. By the end of 1980s, personal computers already have colorful display and sound options. When people can connect the internet, the first online game was a 1979 version of Space War on Plato, the programmed logic for automatic teaching operations. It is a computer institution system that allowed people to interact each other based on the internet. But the system terminals and network was very rare at that time until several years later. During that years, various types of games were developed, include role-playing, shooter, strategy, and so forth. Here, in 1985, there is a new video game industry from Japan entered into the US video game market and soon rose to dominance. Can you guess which industry is? Well, it is Nintendo. Nintendo made the first shooter game, which is Duck Hunt, in 1985 and caused a great sensation in the home video game market. One of the reasons why Nintendo is so success is because they provide a new business model in early 1980s. They sold the game system as a loose, but made a profit on the software copy. They also created so many famous video game characteristics such as the Super Mario Brothers, the Sonic, and the Zelda. The Nintendo also invented the handheld game which evolved over the year. The release of Nintendo Game Boy in 1989 caused another sensation and went on to sell over 100 million units worldwide. Followed by is the Game Boy Advance 3 years later, and Nintendo DS a year after that. All of these well-sold products lead the Nintendo company become the pioneer of game market. Here we have a table which demonstrates the whole game sold in history worldwide. It is no doubt that Nintendo is the number one game design and industry in the world, but it does surprise me that Nintendo's games keep the top 15 best-selling video game of all time. We can see that the first one is Wii Sports. It sold 80 million copies in the world. The second one is Super Mario Bros. And sold 40 million copies in the world. Now, if I want to ask you, if you think video industry is better than music industry, or the video game industry is better than the film industry, well, the answer is yes. Based on the data we collect, based on the video game, music, and film industry revenue table, we can find out that the average of total video game industry revenue each year will be $50 billion, compared with the $70 in music industry and $9 billion in film industry. So today we already discussed the first video game, which is Space War, and the first arcade game, the Pong, and the development of home video game and online game. We also talked about the reason why the Nintendo is the most successful video game maker in the world.